That's a heavy no from me on all fronts. Today we're talking about eggs. We're going to find out which ones taste best, which ones are best for the chickens, and also which are best for the environment. We're also going to look at a vegan egg replacement, and without doubt, this is one of the most exciting taste tests we've ever done. In the UK, we absolutely love eggs. We eat nearly 200 per person per year, and that figure's slowly been increasing over the last 20 years. That means that it's around 34.6 million eggs per day are cooked around this country. When you add that up, it's 2.5 billion eggs per year. Around 75% of the eggs that we buy in the supermarket are free range. That figure has also been increasing over the last 20-30 years, and we produce 90% of the eggs that we eat in this country within the UK. When you go to the supermarket to buy some eggs, you probably notice there's loads of different types. So what exactly is the difference between like barn eggs and free range and organic? Let me explain. The bottom of the pile is colony or caged hens. Now, this is a bit like getting the bus on a busy, wet, rainy day. It's not the nicest one. The hens live together in some big cages, up to 80 birds in one cage, and they have 750 square centimetres per bird. They have to have some perches too to sit on. If you've ever heard of battery hens, where we used to have a single hen in a single cage, we don't do that anymore. That got outlawed many years ago. Next up is barn eggs. This is a little bit like getting the Elizabeth line. You've got loads of birds living in a large barn together, hundreds of them together at a time. They have perches again, but they have no access to the outdoors, but they have a little bit more space. This time it's up to 9 birds per square metre. The next level is free range, which is a bit like getting an Uber. When the birds are indoors, they have similar conditions to the barn eggs, but they must have continuous access to the outdoors during daylight hours, which means that anytime it's light, they can go outside, they can look for insects, they can get some sunlight, and it's a maximum of 2,500 birds per hectare. All of the laying hens up to this point can be fed on genetically modified soy from South America, and this is one of the bigger environmental impacts, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. All of the birds to this point will also have their beaks trimmed, which is done for their own safety. If you've ever heard of the term pecking order, that is because hens literally peck each other to assert dominance over each other, and by trimming the end of the beak, it stops them from actually hurting or actually eating each other. And then at the top of the pile, we've got organic eggs, and these are the Rolls Royce of eggs. Organic laying hens will always be free range. They can only be fed on organic feed. They also can be only stocked at 6 birds per square metre, so they have a lot more space too. Oh, and they have nest boxes. There's also probably a load of other small things in the organic standards, but these are the main differences. Laying hens naturally lay smaller eggs when they're younger and larger eggs when they're older, so we can't just produce large eggs. For that reason, I'm now going to go and buy some different eggs, and I'm going to choose medium eggs wherever possible. By the way, if you've ever wondered how eggs are actually graded in size, it's done by weight. Small eggs are 53 grams and under. Medium eggs are between 53 and 63 grams, large eggs are between 63 and 73 grams, and very large eggs are 73 grams and over. So next time you've got an egg at home, you can actually put it on the scales and weigh it to check if it's actually within the size category. First up, we need to get some vegan eggs, some free range, some organic and specialty ones, and I reckon there's only one place to do that. I also need to buy some cheap ass barn eggs, and I reckon I know just the place for that. I also want to get some eggs that are as fresh as possible out of the hen, so I'm going to go on a little adventure on my bike and see what we can find. I've come to Woodlands Farm in southeast London, where they keep chickens and they sell eggs, so let's see what we can find. That was a huge success. These were literally fresh out of the hen's cage this morning. They're as fresh as you're going to get anywhere in London. Starting from the cheapest, they are Iceland caged eggs, which are £1.99 for 10, so that's 19.9p per egg. Next I've got Waitrose free range eggs, which are £1.75 for 6, which is 29.2p each. Then we've got Waitrose Long Stock Gold Speciality, which are £2.50 for 6, which is 41.7p per egg. And then we've got our wildcard eggs. These came from a farm in southeast London. They were picked fresh out of the hen's cage first thing this morning. They are the freshest eggs out of all of these, and these were also £2.50 for 6, so exactly the same price as the Long Stock Gold. And then we've got Waitrose Dutchy Organic, which are £2.75 for 6, which is 45.8p each, so they are the most expensive here. And lastly, we've got a bottle of scrambled Oggs, which is a vegan egg replacement. Now, scrambled Oggs is £2.60 for 330ml, which is 78.8p per 100ml. Now that's confusing because obviously a normal egg is not 100 grams. In fact, a medium egg weighs between 53 to 63 grams. So on average, 58 grams. 58 grams of scrambled Ogg would cost 45.7p, which puts it around the same price as the organic eggs. So when it comes to sustainability, which of these is actually best? Well, when it comes to the life cycle analysis of chickens, it gets quite complicated. One of the biggest impacts of any chicken production system is the feed that it eats. If it's being fed on genetically modified soy from Latin America, then that's going to bump it right up. And then we also come across one of the ironies of food production. Free range and organic chickens generally need more space to be grown on. They grow slower as well, so they consume more feed, which means that ultimately they can be measured as having a higher environmental impact, even though we kind of know they're supposed to be better. It's the ones where they're all crammed together in tight conditions that actually make more efficient use of resources, but it doesn't mean they're actually better though. If we look at this table here, this is about chickens that are being produced for meat rather than eggs. However, it shows that organic hens actually have the highest greenhouse gas emissions. Another statistic we can look at is feed conversion ratio, which is the amount of feed that's required to make some egg. Now, this study also looked at feed conversion ratio and environmental impacts, and it again found that organic hens have the highest impact, except when the feed was sourced differently, and then suddenly organic can become the most environmentally friendly option. So it all comes down to what the chickens actually eat. And we do know that organic is best from an animal welfare perspective. So if you combine that with, say, Better Origin technology, where they produce insects on the farm using solar power, and remember, insects are a very natural food source for chickens, suddenly you can actually produce net zero eggs. And that is a good thing. Good egg. And lastly, when it comes to scrambled Oggs, they claim they produce 60% less greenhouse gases than normal eggs. However, I literally cannot find any data to support and back that up. So we're gonna have to take their word for it. We don't know what production system they're basing that on or anything. So apparently it's less impact, but we can't compare it to, say, the low impact organic. When it comes to health and nutrition, then these are all going to be relatively similar, and any differences between them, say between caged and organic, are going to be on such a small level it's quite hard to measure, and I couldn't find any specific information about that. However, this is a really highly processed concoction of different industrial ingredients, and I've got to be honest, it doesn't actually sound that great. It's water, sunflower oil, chickpea protein concentrate, maize starch thickener, methyl cellulose, emulsifier, sunflower lecithin, acid, lactic acid, inactive yeast gelling agent, gel and gum, natural flavorings, black salt, sugar, firming agent, calcium carbonate, asafoetida, acidity regulator, trisodium citrate dihydrate, black pepper, coloring, beta carotene. So yeah, it's an ultra processed food. I think these are probably healthier. So time for the taste test. I don't even know how I'm going to do this taste test. Poached? I'm going to fry them instead, it's just easier. So we've got one of each frying here, and we've got the caged egg there, free range there, organic there, longhorn, look at that one, and then this is the fresh one from the Woodlands farm. Let's start with the cage egg. I'm just going straight in for the yolk. I think the yolk is what we're here for. We're here for the yolk, aren't we? Definitely. It's creamy, it's nice, it's a yolk, but I don't think it's that distinctive. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but these literally taste all the same. The last one, let's see what this baby's got to offer us. Completely the same. Like literally, there's almost no discernible difference. I think if you serve the orange ones to people, then people would be like, ooh, these are really nice eggs, because people just love that rich color. But genuinely, I really can't tell any difference between any of them. I'm gonna cook some scrambled Oggs and we can just quickly see what that's like too. So here's the scrambled Oggs. They're kind of slightly grayish yellow. I've got to be honest, I really don't go big for this kind of thing. So which one actually is best? When it comes to the taste, they are all so similar except for that, which we're just gonna pretend didn't happen. Now, we do sometimes taste with our eyes, and the cheapest caged eggs and the long stock golds were the most golden yolk. And I genuinely believe that if I served these to some other people, they would appreciate the golden yolks more than the yellow yolk. But that kind of says the cheapest ones were actually really good. And also with the cheap ones, there's no guarantee you're gonna get a golden yolk. With the long stock golds, you are definitely getting a golden yolk. In which case, I think I'm going to choose on freshness and animal welfare. So the absolute freshest were Woodlands Farm, because they came from chickens that I met and said hello to today, and they'd been laid this morning. So they're less than 24 hours old. They're super, super fresh. They did taste the same as everything else, but they also had the highest levels of animal welfare standards because those chickens had tons of space. They had more space than organic hens have. And that would put second place to Waitrose Organic, or in fact, any organic eggs. That would be my second place. Then in third place would be the long stock gold and normal free range, because they're both produced to a free range standard. And then in last place is the caged eggs, just because, I mean, who wants their chickens to live in cages? None of us, yeah, right?